In the last episode, Bullwinkle and Boris were trying to pull the plug out of the bottom of Lake Saldebain. The reason is that at the bottom of the lake, in this waterproof casing, lies the treasure of Montezuma.
Yes, and I'm going to get it back, or my name isn't, what's his name? Spencer Traceback.
Of course, Bullwinkle thought he was helping Spencer Traceback, the actor, drag in a big fish.
Just like in the movies. Boy, he must be a whopper.
No, he's a bluefin toonie.
That anything like a piano toonie?
But before Boris could answer with still another tired joke, the plug pulled loose and the water began to rush out of the lake.
Uh-oh, I think we lost him. And small wonder you're not using a hook.
It must have fallen off. Well, I guess it's back to the salt mines. If someone would only dive down and find the hook.
See, why don't I do it, Mr. Traceback?
Oh, I couldn't think of asking you to do a thing like that.
Then why are you pushing me?
But if you insist...
And Bullwinkle suddenly found himself in the water.
Boris, if he dives down, he will find treasure.
He'll also find the hole that's draining the lake.
Sure enough, far beneath the water, Bullwinkle was struggling against the pull of the water, running out of the hole at the bottom of the lake. Fortunately, his plight had not gone unseen.
Hold on, Bullwinkle, I'm coming.
And Rocky, that plucky squirrel, launched himself into a fancy swan dive. But as luck would have it, at that moment, the last of the water drained out of the lake. So there was Rocky, out like a light. Boris and Natasha free to get the treasure, and Bullwinkle Moose... Oh, good heavens, where is he?
Right down there, Poopsie.
Yes, our hero had disappeared down the drain.
Right.
But, gee, that means that there are no good guys left.
Funny how that works out. Come on, Natasha.
And with no one to stop them, the two villains went directly to the huge waterproof casing that shielded the treasure of Montezuma. Fortunately, the waterproof casing turned out to be villain-proof, too.
Hold it, Natasha. I'm bushed. If I got to work this hard to get rich, I might as well get a job.
Oh, Boris, what you said.
Meanwhile, Rocky had come to his senses and was standing beside the hole where Bullwinkle had been pulled from sight.
There's only one thing to do. I gotta fly down there after him.
And adjusting his goggles, the plucky squirrel zoomed down into the hole.
Oh, such loyalty, Boris. It kind of gets you right here.
Yes, Natasha, and I'm going to do something about it, too.
What?
I'm going to plug up the hole.
And the wily Boris slammed the plug back into place and stamped it down tight, trapping our heroes far underground where they were zooming through the water supply system of Frostbite Falls. Our scene now changes rather abruptly to the interior of an apartment house in the suburbs of Frostbite Falls, where nearly was a lady last night she died, told the bell for... Oh, rats, what happened to the hot water? Hey, Super, let's have some hot water up here!
You got all there is. Turn the tap on all the way.
Oh, very well. Nellie was a lady, last night she died.
Toll the bell for lovely Nell, my sweet Virginie bride.
Oh, for cry-eye, it's a monster!
No, I'm more of a second tenor.
How'd you get in there?
Never mind that. The real question is, how am I going to get out?
Yes, Bullwinkle was jammed into a bend in the water pipe, and what's more, it was a hot water pipe.
Yeah, I'm getting the world's first instant hot foot.
Instant hot foot?
Take 1 foot and add boiling water.
Don't miss our next episode, Bullwinkle Cleans Up, or The Desperate Showers.
That you down there, Junior?
Sure is, Pop. I'm digging for gold.
In your mother's gardenia patch?
Well, according to my treasure chart, there's gold down here.
Let me see that. My Favorite Gold Mines by Marilyn Monroe. Where'd you get this?
I bought it off a rag peddler.
For how much?
6 cents.
That, my boy, is a classic example of a fool and his money are soon parted.
It wasn't my 6 cents, Pop. I took it off your dresser.
Yeah, that's beside the point. You were still swindled. Now stop digging and listen to this fable. I call it The Fox and the Rabbit. Years ago, when vaudeville was in its heyday, a certain fox named Foxini the Great toured the hinterlands as a magician.
For my next trick, I shall need a volunteer. How do you do, sir? May I borrow your pocket watch? Thank you. Now, I drop the watch, made in Switzerland, into this hat. Stir it with an egg beater. Tap it gently with a sledgehammer, and then pour a vial of acid over it. I then cover the hat with a Hindu cloth and say the magic words, Helen Twelvetrees and Ricardo Cortez, and presto! Go ahead, sir. Reach in and get your watch. You, sir, need a new crystal?
Say, I got an item for you, Foxini boy. That was the last act you will ever do in this theater.
Oh, please, sir. One more essay. I supplicate you.
Oh, I shouldn't, but, well, all right, one last essay. You close tonight's show, right after the train seals.
You won't be lamentated, sir. I promise.
Oh, and look, Foxini doll, no more of the mystic stuff, huh? It's a family show, you know. Just pull a rabbit out of the hat, will you?
But rabbits in those days were hard to find, mainly due to the carrot drought that hit the hinterlands that summer. But in his meanderings, the fox sauntered down a back alley, and there, eating a picture of a carrot, was a rabbit.
Good morrow to you, friend rabbit.
Hi. Got a picture of some salt on you?
No, but I can give you a job.
Like doing what?
Getting in and out of a hat.
Well, sounds easy enough. I'll try it.
That evening, the great Foxini climaxed his turn with a new innovation.
Yes, folks, this hat does seem to be empty. Aha! But I say the magic words, Roger Pryor and Eileen Pringle, and presto.
The crowd gasped, for out of the hat came a rabbit, eating a picture of a turkey.
There, you hear that, Foxini, baby? I'm picking up your option right away. They loved it. You're made.
For 2 weeks, Foxini stopped the show, and then it happened.
And presto, out of the hat comes...
Nothing. The rabbit did not appear. The curtain came down. On the fox, unfortunately. Later in his quarters...
But why did you let me down?
I'm bored, that's why. You get all the applause while I have to sit all cramped up in that little hat.
Tell me what you want. I'll give you anything.
Put a false bottom on the hat. That way I can meander around until it's time to do the magic bit.
Foxini had no alternative. He acquiesced, but what he didn't know was that while he was on the stage doing his routine, the rabbit was circulating through the audience, picking pockets of all things. You can imagine the fox's dismay when he pulled the rabbit out of the hat and the rabbit had 24 billfolds in his hot little paws.
What did you do? Hit the jackpot.
Down came the curtain again on the fox.
I can't understand it, Foxini doll. You were coming on like gangbusters. Then all of a sudden, somebody pulled the plug. And that's not all. Some of the customers lost their wallets.
Fancy that.
You haven't seen any wallets, have you, doll?
Me? Look, Rabbit, you want to get us in trouble? You can't steal wallets.
But the mind of a distorted rabbit is a cunning mind. This time, when he was plucked from the hat, he came up with an armful of currency stolen from a nearby bank. That wasn't bad enough. Also out of the hat came the squad of police.
You're under arrest, Foxini.
But, Ossifer, I had nothing to do with this. It was all the rabbit's fault.
What, rabbit?
Sure enough, the wayward hare had chosen that moment to jump back into the hat and escape through the false bottom.
But I'm innocent, I tell you.
Not only did the fox receive a stiff sentence, but so did the theater manager for contributing to the delinquency of a magician.
You know, doll, I just can't believe this is happening.
Shut up and break rocks.
But we all know that crime doesn't pay. The little rabbit found refuge somewhere in South America, but never got to enjoy the fruits of his ill-gotten gains, for true to his habits, he had eaten a picture of a hard-boiled egg, not realizing that on the other side was a picture of a rotten apple. He took ill and never recovered. And so you see, Junior, a fool and his money are soon parted.
I got a better...
Oh, dear, hold it. You were about to say you had a better moral. Well, this time I'm going to beat you to it. You were going to say a fool and his bunny are soon parted, right?
Wrong. I was going to say, hair today, gone tomorrow.
Hair to dig, Junior.
It's time for that man of 1,000 helpful suggestions, Mr. Know-It-All.
Thank you, and hello, man of 1,000 helpful suggestions lovers everywhere. Today we are taking up the problem of how to disarm a live 5,000 megaton TNT bomb in your own workshop in your spare time to amuse your friends. Or just yourself, even. First and surest fire is the hairpin technique, which requires 1, a common hairpin, and 2, a common bomb. This method, when employed by an expert professional bomb disarmer, is 100% safe. 99% anyway. For the beginner, it is often more satisfying to work with a smaller bomb, or a teeny as the professionals call it. Next, it is important to be able to detect the bomb before disarming it. One would think it would be this object because of the ticking sound, but obviously that's just to throw one off. Likewise with these two objects. But here, cleverly disguised as a bomb, is a bomb. And thus, another nasty scene has been averted by...
Gosh, Mr. Know-It-All, what happened? I was about to tell you your time is almost up.
Throw it away! Get rid of it! Run for your life! Lucky I got my own watch. Taking no chances. Now, where's that match? Oh, yes.
Don't play with the television set, Sherman. It's bust.
No, it isn't, Mr. Peabody. A spy fixed it this morning.
A spy?
Well, he snuck in the back door and he was all dressed in black.
Well, that doesn't mean he's a spy.
Well, he gave us Secret Service, didn't he?
Oh, dear. I had no alternative but to make Sherman stand in a corner, the one occupied by the Wayback Machine.
Where to, Mr. Peabody?
Well, as long as we're on the subject of spies, let us meet the queen of them all, the legendary Mata Hari. Sherman sent the Wayback Machine for Newcastle, England, in the early days of the First World War. We arrived just as one of the largest ships of its day was about to be launched.
Which one of the people on the launching platform is Mata Hari, Mr. Peabody?
From here, it's hard to tell. She undoubtedly is wearing a clever disguise. It was then I spotted a waiter going up the steps, carrying a bottle of champagne with which the ship was to be christened. That, Sherman, is Mata Hari.
How can you tell?
When a waiter wears high heels, something is afoot.
In the name of His Majesty, I hereby christen this ship.
Don't swing that bottle, Admiral!
Why not?
She blew it up.
We reported the incident to the Counterintelligence Department of Scotland Yard.
Well, if Mata Hari is in England, it means the war effort is in serious jeopardy. Wonder what she'll do next.
Probably steal some secret plans.
I doubt that. We have a steel-proof steel safe here, but we shall check anyway. Oh, dear, what did I do with the combination?
The combination is 6 left, 32 right, back to 8, around once to 0, and right to 3.
Gad, sir, how do you know the combination?
I don't really. It happens to be the phone number of my aunt in Peoria. The heavy door swung open, revealing an empty safe.
Good, she didn't take a thing.
What do you mean, Inspector?
Well, the safe is just a blind. I keep the secret plans in my pants pocket.
We suddenly realized his pockets were gone, along with his pants.
That means Mata Hari got away with the plans.
Yes, and without them, England is lost.
In a desperate attempt to overtake her before she could leave the country, we dashed for the nearest optometrist.
Optometrist? What makes you think she'll be there?
Quite obvious, Sherman. All spies need spy glasses. Suddenly before us loomed a shop owned by a Dr. Focals. Rushing inside, we spotted Mata Hari standing by Focals.
No use making a spectacle of yourself, Mata Hari. We've got the drop on you.
Actually, she had the drop on us, for a trapdoor sprang open and Mata Hari disappeared.
Quick, she'll head for the airport now.
We arrived just as Mata Hari took off in an old de Havilland. We were quick to follow in a new de Havilland.
I didn't know you could fly, Mr. Peabody.
I have a little bird dog in me, Sherman. By the time we were halfway across the channel, we were practically on Mata Hari's tail.
Open fire, Inspector.
Right, sir.
Unfortunately, the inspector misinterpreted Sherman's command. To him, open fire meant to open the cockpit and build a fire. We went down in flames, which was the name of a small French town right near the German lines. We disembarked from our burning plane and took stock of our situation. This, Sherman, is what is known as no man's land. Years ago, it was a lush forest.
But the trees are gone.
That's right, Sherman. This is the Argonne Forest.
You should have saved that one for the ending, Mr. Peabody.
Oh, I have one that's worse than that, Sherman. Right now, our problem is to outwit Mata Hari before she can deliver the secret plans to the enemy.
We shall never catch her now.
We shall not only catch her, we shall pass her. Unmindful of the shrapnel, we ran between the falling bombs and reached the enemy trench a good 45 3/10 seconds ahead of Mata.
Oh, we're in trouble, Mr. Peabody. Look at all the bayonets.
And that gave me an idea. I picked up a string of hot dogs lying in a nearby shell hole and instructed Sherman and the inspector to follow my example. We placed a hot dog at the end of each bayonet. Naturally, the soldiers assumed they were at a weenie bake, and being German, rushed off to get some sauerkraut.
Now what, Mr. Peabody?
Quick, into these uniforms! When Mata Hari got there, she took us for German officers and promptly handed over the secret plans. I, in turn, promptly handed the plans and Miss Hari over to the inspector.
We did it, Mr. Peabody.
Yes, don't we always?
By the way, Mr. Peabody, what was in the secret plans?
Here they are, Sherman. Take a look for yourself.
Oh, my gosh, it's just a picture of a giant blimp.
That giant blimp, Sherman, was to be England's last resort. In the event they were losing the war, the entire British population was to climb into that blimp and fly to safety.
I never heard of that before.
Well, of course you have. Where do you think we got the phrase, one nation indirigible?
Oh, no.
I warned you, Sherman.
Last time, you remember, Rocky was chasing Bullwinkle through the water system of Frostbite Falls. Little did he know that high above him, the moose was stuck in an irate citizen's shower nozzle. Fortunately, the irate citizen spun the tap wide open, shooting Bullwinkle out of the pipes entirely.
Thanks a mil, friend.
But you're over 6 feet tall. How could you get through a little skinny water pipe?
I held my breath.
Superintendent, help!
Well, if you're gonna act like that, goodbye.
Now, what's the matter? What's the matter? You got enough hot water, haven't you?
I just found a moose in my shower.
A mouse in your shower?
Not a mouse, a moose!
Maybe you ought to switch to cold showers for a while. I never heard of anything so...
Hey, either of you ladies seen a moose go by here?
Ladies!
That way.
Thanks.
Do you realize that a squirrel just came out of the shower, called us ladies, and acted as if a moose went by?
And there's a good reason for it.
What?
His goggles were all steamed up.
Oh.
It was true. With his goggles all foggy, Rocky walked right past Bullwinkle without even seeing him.
Hey, Rocky!
Bullwinkle, is that you?
It was when I got up this morning.
I must be getting nearsighted. You sure look fuzzy.
Well, let's face it, Rock. I am fuzzy.
Meanwhile, at the dry lake bottom, Boris and Natasha were still trying to break into the enormous treasure chest.
Oh, it's no use, Boris. We can't do it.
Well, I guess we'll have to use a Pennsylvanian persuader.
A Pennsylvania persuader, what's that?
2 pounds TNT in a 1 pound bag with instructions.
Oh.
Let's see. Instructions say, place bag next to object to be persuaded.
Check.
Light fuse.
Check.
Then it says, caution, this persuader has...
Has what?
Just a minute. It's in small print. Oh, caution, this persuader has... a quick-burning fuse.
But though the explosive did a good job on Boris and Natasha, it didn't faze the treasure of Montezuma.
Perhaps we should ask ourselves, Natasha, is it worth all the effort? Is a cheesy $1 million treasure worth getting blown up for? Is $1 million really that important? Is money everything?
I give up, darling. Is it?
You bet it is. Get back to work.
But unbeknownst to the two eager villains, our heroes were dashing to the scene of the crime.
Why are we dashing thusly?
Because the criminal always returns to the scene of the crime.
I don't want to destroy your childlike faith, Rock, but we're not the criminals.
No, but when the real criminals do return to the scene of the crime, we'll catch them red-handed. Do you follow me?
I have to. We're on the same bicycle.
Meanwhile, the wily Boris had rigged up a primitive block and tackle and dragged the enormous treasure chest to a high bluff overlooking the dry lake.
Now, as soon as we cut the cable, chest drops down onto those rocks, splits wide open.
And?
Happy days are here again. Hey!
Well, as luck would have it, our heroes chose that moment to pedal their bicycle across the bottom of the dry lake and right under the enormous chest.
Natasha, do my eyes deceive me?
They wouldn't dare.
It's fantastical. We get to open up treasure chest and shut up moose and squirrel at the same time.
Oh, you're such a lucky schnook.
Well, you know what I always say. Somebody down there likes me.
And Boris prepared to snip the cable and send the treasure chest hurtling down on our heroes. Don't miss our next rather unpleasant episode, Boris Bashes a Box or the Flat Chest. Well, the treasure of Montezuma may be worth $1 million, but it doesn't look as if anybody's going to collect it. For the enormous treasure chest has so far resisted the efforts of Boris and Natasha to pry it open, chop it open, even even blew it open.
Let's face it, Boris, we need a safe cracker.
We got a safe cracker.
Whom?
Meme, that's whom.
Boris, you know how to crack a safe.
Sure, Mike. You just lift the safe up in the air like this, and when you cut the cable...
Yes?
Crack!
Oh, that's straight thinking, darling.
And for me, straight thinking is tough.
Why?
I got a crooked mind.
Well, as luck would have it, our heroes chose that moment to pedal their bicycle bill for two right under the hanging chest.
Gee, I don't see any sign of those two spies, Bullwinkle.
What spies are those, Rock?
The spies who drained this lake.
This is a lake?
Oh, boy, have you forgotten the plot again?
In a word, you said it.
That's 3 words.
I'm a heavy tipper. Now, what's the plot?
Here, I'll draw you a picture.
And all unaware of the frightful fate hanging over their heads, Rocky began to draw pictures to bring Bullwinkle up to date on our story.
We were bird watching, remember?
Yeah.
We saw 2 spies ready to blow up the dam.
Yeah.
We put out the fuse.
Good for us.
One of them disguised himself as an actor named Spencer Traceback.
My favorite.
Then he slickered you into pulling a big plug out of the bottom of the lake.
Shame, shame.
Revealing a big treasure chest.
This is the exciting part.
And we went down the drain together.
Wowie!
And now we're back here looking for the 2 spies.
Well, that is a dandy... Hey, what did you draw above us there?
That's the treasure chest that's hanging over our yike.
Hanging over our yike? That's an odd place to...
Bullwinkle, out of the way!
I can't, Rock. Something happened. I can't move.
Go on, Boris, cut the rope.
I'm trying.
What's the matter?
The snippers must be dull.
Here, darling, try this.
What is it?
Is my switchblade nail file.
And Boris leaped on top of the chest and began sawing at the rope.
Run, Bullwinkle!
I can't. I must be froze with fear.
No, you're not. You're standing on your own foot.
Doesn't everybody?
I mean, your right foot is standing on your left foot.
Oh, okay. Break it up down there.
And our heroes dashed out of the way just as the rope let go.
Good work, Boris.
But unfortunately for Boris, he'd forgotten he was still on top of the chest. And what's more, as it fell, the chest turned over so Boris was underneath it.
Don't worry, darling. Remember, this is just cartoon. Boris, are you all right?
Natasha, I just found out what happens when a cartoon chest folds on a cartoon character.
What?
It hurts.
And what's more, darling?
What could be what's more?
The chest still isn't open.
Fooey and double fooey.
That voice, Bullwinkle. Where have I heard that voice?
I heard something like it once when I dropped the chicken bone in the garbage disposal.
That does it, Natasha. Come on. We're going to get an A-bomb.
A-bomb?
A-bomb, come on.
Did you hear that, Bullwinkle?
Sure, they repeated it twice.
Do you know what A-bomb means?
Certainly. A-bomb is what some people call our program.
I don't think that's so funny.
Neither do they, apparently.
And while our heroes engage in airy persiflage, the 2 villains are on their way. Don't miss our next explosive episode, 1, 2, 3, gone, or I've got plenty of nothing.
Yo-ho, Junior. Where are you, boy?
Here I am, Pop. What's up?
Why, my goodness, you're soaking wet. What happened?
Nothing. I was just watering my garden.
It looks like you got more watering than your garden did.
Well, with our hose, it couldn't be helped. I'll show you.
Now, Junior, turn that hose off. Junior, turn it off now. Turn it off.
Oh, sorry, Pop.
Now, you see, we're both soaked to the skin. Why don't you fix that hose?
Well, I tried, but I can't figure out a way to do it.
You could if you had to.
Had to?
Always remember, my boy, that necessity is the mother of invention.
And now comes the fable?
Correct. It's called The Hare and the Tortoise.
Oh, you must be slipping, Pop. You already told me the fable about the hare and the tortoise.
I told you part 1. There are 2 parts of that story. As you remember, the tortoise had been goaded into a race with the hare. And it wasn't long before the hare had left the tortoise so far behind that he decided he could well afford to kill a little time.
I think I'll take in a movie.
The picture was so good, From Here to Eternity, starring Rabbit Montgomery, that he sat through it twice, which proved to be a fatal mistake.
The tortoise wins!
Though you are a tortoise, if you are steady,
And watch out for rolling stones. You will come forth first.
Well, we all know what happened to the tortoise after that eventful day. He became rich and famous.
Isn't that nice? They named turtle soup after me.
But what about the hare? Ah, that's quite another story. Losing that race caused him to lose everything, and he was kicked out of the Rabbits Union.
But, fellas, my dues are all paid up for 3 months in advance.
It makes no difference. You set us rabbits back 200 years.
Yeah, what hurts most of all is that folks don't say quick like a bunny anymore.
Out! Now a broken hare, there was nothing left for him. He went away to a small town where he changed his name and settled down. Time passed, and both the tortoise and the hare grew old. Then one day, as the old gray hare sat in his rocker...
Bang, boom, boom, bang, boom, boom. Wah! Concern it, what's all the racket out there?
Hey, Grandpa, Charlie Frickett beat me up.
What for?
For the 3rd time this week. He said that the tortoise beat you in a race, and I said he didn't.
This hit the old hare pretty hard when his own grandbunny, well, that was too much.
Well, now that I know that if you're a tortoise and you keep running around over mossy rock steady like 4 times or whatever the heck that was, he said.
That he hurried into the big city and went directly to the tortoise's house.
Howdy, hare.
Howdy. You got a glove I can borrow?
Here you are.
Thank you. I hereby challenge you to another race, or are you chicken?
No. I'm all tortoise, and you're out.
The date was set, and the hare immediately tried a trial run to check his speed.
How did it do? My speed's pretty frightening, isn't it?
I'll say. It took you 3 hours to run the 4-minute mile.
Suddenly realizing that old age had taken its toll, and he was probably now slower than the tortoise, the hare had to turn to the speed of his wits. Locking himself in his workshop, he worked day and night, inventing ways to increase his speed. By the day of the big race, he was ready, and arrived at the starting line with a wagon load of inventions.
What kind of a harebrained scheme are you up to now?
Never you mind, Sonny. Just stand aside when you see me coming. Go!
The tortoise crept into an early lead, mainly due to the fact that the hare crept into the wagon and took a nap.
Grandpa, what are you doing?
Right now, I'm taking 40 winks.
But the tortoise is getting way ahead of you.
That's all right. Just let me know when it gets to Miller's barn.
Miller's barn burned down 2 years ago.
In that case, I better get going.
Slipping into one of his inventions, a rocket jacket, he lit the fuse.
Stand back, boy. I'm gonna pass that tortoise like he's standing still.
But, as it turned out, the jacket passed the tortoise and left the hare standing still on the starting line.
Dagnabbit, zipper broke.
By now, the tortoise was turning into the home stretch.
Like I always say, he who puts his best foot forward counts his hatches before they chicken out. So I'm bound to win.
It looked as though history was about to repeat itself.
I've come to the end. This is the only way out.
Grandpa, that's the coward's way out. Don't drink that.
This isn't what you think it is, boy. This is a glass of some old-fashioned gasoline I've been saving for years. Bottoms up.
A little gas on his stomach was all he needed, for it no sooner hit bottom. And not only did he cross the finish line well ahead of the tortoise, but he kept right on running, never to be seen again. And so you see, Junior, it was necessary for the hare to win that race for the sake of his little grandbunny. And that proves that necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah, Pop, but the hare drinking gasoline proves something else.
Oh, what's that?
That there's no fuel like an old fuel.
I guess you're right.
A message in a bottle.
Fan mail from some flounder?
No, this is what I really call a message.
Hi there, poultry lovers. We got a real treat in store for you today. A special guest, Mr. Peter Piker.
That's Piper.
Yeah. Mr. Piker is the star of the well-known famous poem, Peter Piker Picked a Peck of Pickled Peppers.
That's pickled.
That's what I said, pickled. A peck of pickled pickers Peter Piker picked.
The name is Peter Piper.
And you can call me Bullwinkle. If Peter Piker pecked a pickled pickers...
Brother.
Where's the pickled Peter Piker picked? How's that?
You got a bad case of pookles there, fella.
And that's our first question. Where are they?
Where what?
The peppers. The pickled peppers.
Oh, I'm out of the pickle business now.
You are?
I couldn't say it either.
Hey, that's great. What are you doing now?
I help my sister Susie.
And what does she do?
She sells seashells at the seashore.
That's better.
And now...
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
But that trick never worked.
This time for sure. Presto! Well, I'm getting close.
And now it's time for another special feature.
Hi out there, Sherman here. I'm doing a solo today, and the reason is because poor Mr. Peabody is laid up. How do you feel, Mr. Peabody?
Not too well, Sherman. I have a slight case of distemper.
Well, don't you worry, Mr. Peabody. I'll take the folks back into history today.
You're a dog's best friend, Sherman. Where do you plan to go?
I thought we'd go to Coney Island.
Sherman.
Sorry, Mr. Peabody. Today we shall meet that great physicist and astronomer Galileo. So I shall set Mr. Peabody's Wayback Machine for Pisa, Italy in the year 1592. Even without Mr. Peabody along, the Wayback responded in its customary flawless fashion, which is what Mr. Peabody would have said if he were here. In what seemed like no time at all, I was standing at the base of the leaning tower of Pisa. And there, pounding on the door, was the great man himself, Galileo.
Come on, open up the door.
Golly, Mr. Galileo, what seems to be the trouble?
Go away, kid.
But I'm here to help you.
Then get somebody to open the door.
Why do you want to get in there?
You see these two metal balls? One's a big and one is a small. I'm gonna go up in the tower and drop these two balls.
What'll that prove?
That they both will hit the ground at the same time.
This was a problem that only Mr. Peabody could solve. Hang on, Mr. Galileo. I'll be right back.
The solution is obvious, Sherman. The only way into the tower is through the locked door, and the only way to open a locked door is with a key.
Returning to Pisa, I took Mr. Galileo to the nearest locksmith.
Sure, I make you a key to open a tower, but it's a cost you 10 lira.
Gee, I've only got 3 Indian head pennies and a skate key.
That's no good.
What do you have, Mr. Galileo?
I got 3 Indian head skate keys and a penny.
That's not gonna get it either, Jack.
Again, it was a problem that only Mr. Peabody could solve.
My, you are certainly having your troubles.
It would have been so much easier if we'd gone to Coney Island.
You really have no problem, Sherman. Find a job for Galileo and earn the money for the key.
But the only things Galileo could do were dropping metal balls from leaning towers and astronomy. So we chose astronomy. Step right up, folks, and let the great Galileo tell your fortune by the stars.
I'm also read the palms and guess you wait. All for 10 lira.
Fortune-telling business was so slow that the only customer we got was a tall, dark man in uniform.
I may see by the crystal ball that you are a tall, dark man in a uniform.
See, what else you can tell me, huh?
You in a law business.
Go on.
I'm also gonna tell you what you gonna do in the next 30 seconds.
And what's that?
You gonna arrest the kid and me for telling fortunes without a license.
That's right.
We were thrown on the first gondola leaving for Switzerland, which meant we were exiled from Italy forever.
Well, kid, looks like I'm not gonna get into the tower to prove my theory.
Wait right here, Mr. Galileo. I'll be back.
You're like a bad penny, Sherman. You keep turning up with problems.
And this one's a Lulu.
Nonsense. You can get back into Italy by becoming national heroes.
How do we do that?
By taking advantage of your appetites.
And Mr. Peabody instructed me to take Mr. Galileo to the spaghetti eating contest in Paris, France.
The team who eats the most spaghetti will win.
Shot a meatball into the air, and we were off and eating. 5 hours later...
The winners are the astronomers.
Spaghetti being the national dish of Italy, we not only won 10 lira first prize, but were also made honorary citizens of Italy, just as Mr. Peabody had figured. 1 week later, we stood before the Tower of Pisa with a key that would open the door.
Well, here goes, Keith. It's dark in here. I'll light a match.
It was then I smelled escaping gas, but before I could stop him, Galileo had struck. When the smoke cleared, the tower was still standing, although it was leaning, as it still is today. Galileo was free to prove his theory, so my job was done.
Oh, no, it isn't. Where did the escaping gas come from, and who had locked the door?
Well, the gas came from an oven, and the door was locked by a mad Italian scientist.
What was a mad Italian scientist doing with an oven in the Tower of Pisa?
He was inventing a new pie.
Oh, no, Sherman. Not pizza pie.
No, chicken cacciatore.
Well, Boris tried to drop the treasure of Montezuma on our heroes, but wound up hoist with his own petard. Meanwhile...
Hold it! What means this hoist with my own, what's this?
It means you fell into your own trap.
Oh, well, why didn't you said so? Okay, let's go.
Finally, in desperation, he and Natasha set out to find an A-bomb to blow up the chest.
Gee, that must be a pretty valuable treasure, Bullwinkle.
Big, anyway.
Maybe we could get that chest open.
Well...
Of course, those spies tried hammering it and chopping it, blowing it up, dropping it off a cliff.
Well...
So how can we open it?
Well...
What do you think, Bullwinkle?
Well...
What's your considered opinion?
If you'd stop talking, I'll tell you.
Well, I was just trying to build up a little suspense.
Why don't we just try turning the key?
The key?
Yes, right there in plain sight was a key. And when Bullwinkle turned it, the entire box flopped open, revealing at last the treasure of Montezuma.
Whoa! A 1903 Apperson jackrabbit.
That's a treasure.
Isn't it, though?
I must say, I'm disappointed.
Well, then go ahead.
What?
Say it.
Okay, I'm disappointed.
And I'm Bullwinkle.
Yeah, I know. Well, I guess the only thing we can do is drive it into town and turn it over.
What?
To the authorities.
Oh.
How do we start it?
Well, it says right here on the instruction sheet, let's see. Stand in front of machine, seize crank, spin crank sharply. First, making sure car is out of gear. Hey, Rock, wait up!
And so when Boris and Natasha returned to the scene...
We couldn't find an A-bomb, not even a war surplus one.
Boris, look! Somebody beat us to the treasure.
Raskolnikov!
But at that moment, Boris's sharp eyes spotted the instruction sheet that Bullwinkle had dropped. I say, at that moment, Boris's sharp eyes had spotted the...
I heard you.
Well?
I can't see it anywhere.
It's right under your nose.
You crazy. It's nowhere inside.
Boris, darling.
Invisible ink I can find.
Boris.
Invisible papers? No.
Darling.
What is it, Natasha?
You are sitting on it.
Oh. You said it was under my nose.
Sorry.
What does it say?
It says the treasure was really just an old car. Oh, boy. Lucky we got a regular job to fall back on.
What's that?
Breaking windows at the UN building. Let's go.
Oh, if those two villains had only seen the license plate of that car, they would...
What? What's that whispering? What was that?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
We got ways of finding out, you know.
Ways of... How?
Easy. We run program backwards and forwards again. Like this.
Oh, if those two villains had only seen the license plate of that car...
That's what you said. Natasha, what's with the license plate?
It's only a number, Boris.
What number?
14K.
14K. What? 14 carat? Natasha, 14 carat. That car is solid gold. Come on.
Oh, what have I done?
You have just signed death warrant for Moose, darling.
Oh, dear.
And stretch the whole plot out for 2 more episodes.
And we'll see one of them next time called All That Glitters or Baby, It's Gold Outside. Last time, you remember, Bullwinkle Moose outsmarted us all by finding a way to get into the treasure chest of Montezuma.
Leave us turn the key.
Hokey smoke, it's just an old car.
Just an old car indeed. This here is a genuine 1903 Apperson jackrabbit.
How do you know?
It said so in the last episode.
Our heroes decided to donate the car to the Frostbite Falls Museum and drove it away. But when Boris and Natasha spotted the license plate...
It says 14K, darling. Do you think...
I don't have to think, Natasha. I know. This is a 14-karat solid gold automobile.
Let's face it, Boris. These Americans really know how to live.
Come on, Natasha. Let's take the shortcut. We're about to go into the used car business.
On purpose?
And so a little later, as our boys rounded a turn, a strange sight met their eye.
Madman Morris, the laughing Latvian, used car.
Well, we might as well stop.
How come?
Madman Morris has put up a roadblock.
It was true. An enormous tree trunk lay right across their path.
Well, ho, ho, ho. Howdy, friends and neighbors.
That must be Madman Morris himself.
Are you the laughing Latvian?
You were expecting the angry Afghan?
Can we get by here?
Certainly. The best buy in these parts, a late model Oscil 8.
An Oscil 8?
And I can make you an unbelievable offer on this junk pile you're driving.
Yeah, but we're not...
$26 and that's top money. Take it or leave it. Without Defender, $25.
You were right. It's unbelievable.
Sounds pretty good, Rock.
Bullwinkle, we were going to give this car to the museum.
But $26? That's antihistamine money, you know.
Antihistamine money?
It's not to be sneezed at.
Yeah, but we promised...
You get it, Rock? Not to be sneezed at.
Bullwinkle.
Little medical-type joke I threw in there. You get it?
I got it.
Thousands won't.
You said it. Well, is it a deal?
How much is the Oscil 8?
Never you mind about the price. I don't want you to clutter your little furry head with a lot numbers.
That's kind.
Just sign here. Easy payments for next 20 years.
What's it say way down here?
Don't read the fine print. You want to ruin those beautiful blue eyes?
They are kind of limpid pools, aren't they?
Is the car in good condition, Mr. Morris?
Of course. Only one owner. A little old lady in Pennsylvania.
Hey, isn't that Pasadena?
Far from it, darling.
And she only used it on Sundays, didn't you, Granny?
That's right, darling. Va-va-voom.
You're the little old lady who drove this car?
Actually, I didn't drive it, darling. I used to sit in and listen to the radio. Voom, voom.
The radio?
AM?
AM and PM. Oh, I love that Merton Marge.
Easy, Granny. You're dating yourself.
Va-voom, darling.
So how's about it?
Well, I don't know.
Okay, you've driven me to the wall. I surrender. Have no mercy on me.
All right.
I'll pay you $30 cash as is.
Wowee!
And I throw in 2 all-day suckers.
Sensation!
See what you can do if you know how to bargain, Bullwinkle?
Lucky you got a good head on you, Rock.
Yeah.
Or you'd have to wear your hat on your neck.
And in a twinkling, the papers had been signed, and Boris and Natasha drove off in our hero's 1903 Epperson Jackrabbit.
Hey, Madman Morris, wait a minute. You forgot something.
Yeah, where's the 2 suckers?
Well, the answer to that is so obvious we won't even wait around for it. But be with us next time for Boris Wheels and Deals or A Profit Without Honor.
I shall tell you about a lass named Esmeralda Fump. Esmeralda grew up from a very plain-looking young girl into an even plainer-looking young woman. There was a reason for this. She had labored long and hard in the castle of a very exacting king.
The moat is dirty, Esmeralda. Sweep it clean.
Yes, Your Majesty. Oh, and tomorrow is my birthday. Could I have an hour off?
You had an hour off 10 days ago, didn't you?
That was 10 years ago, Your Highness.
Reluctantly, he gave in, and so on the following day, plain-looking Esmeralda bought a small cake and spent a carefree hour beneath a large oak tree.
Oh, I am too weary to even blow out the candles.
And she dropped off to sleep. Now, we've all heard of a beauty nap, and that's exactly what 40 Winks did for Esmeralda. She returned to work without realizing that her plain looks were less plainer.
Esmeralda, this is my son, Prince Robin of Redbreast. And what happened to the wart on your nose?
It fell off, and how do you do, sir?
I do all right.
Esmeralda went back to sleeping and bottled up her emotions. No one as plain as she could ever hope to win the prince's heart. But while she was busy on the staircase, she passed by a mirror and...
How do you do, madam?
But that was no madam. It was her. Oh, dear, it was she.
Something has happened. Say, you don't suppose the nap I took...
It wasn't easy making a bed on the banister, but Esmeralda resolved to sleep right then and there to see if it improved her looks. Of course, she had no way of knowing that the Prince Robin of Redbreast never took the stairs.
Frightfully sorry, old girl.
Forget it.
I say, tell me your name, beauteous one.
You remember Esmeralda.
That evening, the prince took Esmeralda for a stroll through Lover's Lane. He was on the verge of proposing when he suddenly noticed that his companion had lost some of her radiance.
How singular. You seem to be uglying up on me.
Esmeralda knew for sure then that sleep and only sleep could make her beautiful, and Esmeralda bolted away.
Oh, you don't suppose I hurt her feelings?
Dawn the following day, and Esmeralda was back sweeping. Only, now she had a plan. No matter where she worked, she always took time for a cat nap. In the main hall, she slept in the fireplace. On the great table, she slept under glass. Even when dusting out the moat, she snoozed on an oyster bed. All this sleeping transformed her into a gorgeous woman.
I beg your pardon, Prince Robin, but can I start your collar?
No, but you can marry me.
The king insisted upon a courtship period of 3 days.
Enjoying the concert, my pet?
Oh, so very, very much.
Uh-oh. There it was again. The warning sign that her supply of beauty was in need of replenishment.
Where are you off to?
I think I'll buy a snow cone.
Actually, she was looking for a restful spot in which to grab a 5-minute nap. Of all places, she chose to cuddle up inside a tuba. The audience and Prince Robin couldn't help but notice her as she popped in and out every time the tuba player played.
I say, my son, isn't that your fancy?
Yes, Daddy. She's buying a snow cone.
Later that evening at a ball given in honor of the impending marriage...
By the by, some foreign dignitaries would like to meet your inamorata.
It's in the garage, Daddy. Faulty differential.
In that case, how about introducing them to your sweetheart?
Esmeralda?
Yes.
I haven't the foggiest idea where she is at the moment.
A glance overhead would have told him, for Esmeralda was again taking a short snooze. Unfortunately...
Really, my dear? I think you owe me an explanation.
And tearfully she explained how, without sleep, she reverted to her normal, unlovely self.
I don't believe you.
Well, to prove it, Esmeralda and Prince Robin sat there on the floor until 5 in the morning, and with each passing hour, her face grew plainer and plainer.
There, you see, my beauty is only sleep deep.
Double chins up, old girl. I can fix it.
Reaching out, he yanked on a bell cord that wasn't there, and out of nowhere appeared the court magician.
You rang Prince Robin of Redbreast?
Oh, yes, Freddy. Essie here can't seem to stay up late without uglying up. Claims she must have a beauty rest.
Shall I put her to sleep?
Just the opposite. Change her into a night owl.
It was a royal command and had to be obeyed.
Why the tears, Your Highness? Remember, you're not losing a son, you're gaining a daughter.
You mean I'm gaining an owl?
Yes, the magician had changed Esmeralda into a night owl, in the strictest sense of the word. But although he married an owl, Prince Robin's life became brighter than ever. You see, he was addicted to the game of 20 questions, and here Esmeralda proved invaluable.
Well, I bet I can stump you two with this one. Who was the 31st President of the United States?
Herbert?
Who?
There.
Right.
For those of you who want to soak up some extra knowledge, here's Mr. Know-It-All.
Hello, Spongeheads. Today's topic is entitled, How to Remove a Unwanted Guest from Your House and Make More Living Room. Supposing you are on your way home from the butcher shop with 14 hot dogs, and you discover there is a 15th hot dog, one with large teeth and an appetite to match. It is obvious that the 15th hot dog, whom we shall call Spot, has designs on the 14 hot dogs. Just inches ahead of your pursuer, you arrive home safely. Flushed with victory, you examine your 14 hot dogs, only to find that they are now inside Spot. Going to the front door, you flang it open wide and point in the general direction of Boys Town, indicating you wish him to leave. Finding yourself on the outside with the door bolted, you attempt to gain entrance by way of the chimney. En route, you make a sad discovery. Spot is now brewing himself a spot of tea in the fireplace. Fighting fire with fire, we ignite the couch. Soon the fire is completely out of control. The house goes up in smoke. But when the fire has gone out, you discover that Spot has not. 2 days later in your rebuilt home, you sit happily in your Morris chair, finally rid of your unwanted guest.
But, Mr. Know-It-All, how did you get rid of him?
Who?
Spot.
Oh, quite simple. I used spot remover.
I'll give you a hint as to where we are going today, Sherman. What do I have in my hand?
A pitcher of water.
What do I have in my other hand?
A pitcher of Uncle Louie.
Correct. Now, I hold the pitcher over the picture. What am I going to do?
Looks like you're going to water Uncle Louie.
Almost, Sherman. We are going to Waterloo. For the historic battle, you know, in which Napoleon was defeated by Wellington. The year 1815, the place, Belgium. When we arrived, the 3-day battle was reaching a climax. The French troops were below in a valley, and there on a hill to the north was Wellington's army poised to attack.
What are they waiting for, Mr. Peabody?
The command to attack.
Who's supposed to give it?
Obviously not that horse. The eyes of every soldier were focused on a lone steed standing in front, riderless. From the insignia on the saddle, that horse belonged to the Duke of Wellington.
Well, where is he?
The answer came from a sergeant standing nearby.
We've been waiting for him for 3 days. He's the only one who can shout charge.
Did he receive orders to report to Waterloo?
I gave him to him myself before we left Blighty.
Then it's obvious what has happened. You see, there are 2 Waterloos. I instructed the sergeant to do nothing until we returned, and Sherman and I left for Waterloo, Denmark. And there we found the Duke of Wellington at Waterloo Hot Springs taking a mineral bath.
What a delightful way to spend a war. Hand me that bone, won't you?
Your pardon, your lordship, but what are you doing?
My orders were to come to Waterloo and take bone apart. So far, I've taken 4 bones apart.
But, Mr. Wellington, I mean your dukeship. You're at the wrong Waterloo.
We explained the error and urged that he return to the scene of the actual battle.
Get my carriage immediately.
Moments later, we were rolling back toward Belgium, or so we thought.
Gee, Mr. Peabody, look out the window. I didn't know there was an Eiffel Tower in Belgium.
There isn't. Driver!
Oui, monsieur.
I was answered by a French accent holding a French pistol.
What does this mean, Mr. Peabody?
It means we are being duke-napped. The carriage didn't come to a stop until we reached the Louvre Museum. At gunpoint, we were forced into a large room containing famous paintings. The door was locked securely and a guard stationed outside.
Charge!
Not yet, your lordship. I'll tell you when. It was indeed a stroke of luck that we had been placed in that particular room, for the paintings on the wall gave me an idea. I rapped on the door, it opened, and the guard entered.
Sacré bleu, they are guns!
So he thought. In reality, we had taken positions in a large picture frame. Sherman and I posing as Whistler and his dog, and Wellington as Blue Boy.
After them!
The way was clear, and we quickly made our departure. Once out in the street, we stopped to catch our breath. And so did a squad of guards who had just turned the corner.
Look, a man, a boy, and a bow-wow.
Quick, Sherman, pick up that stick, yell, fetch, and throw it. Sherman complied.
Fetch, Mr. Peabody!
I ran after the stick, picked it up, then I too yelled, fetch, and threw it. This time Wellington retrieved it, yelled,
fetch,
and threw it. It was Sherman's turn, and in such a manner we fetched our way out of danger.
Very fetching.
On the outskirts of Paris, we looked for a conveyance that would enable us to get to our destination. The only thing we saw was a hay wagon.
Shall we get aboard, Mr. Peabody?
Yes, we'd best make hay while the sun shines. Sherman took the reins while the Duke and myself sought concealment in the hay. We were making good time until we reached the Belgian border, and there we were stopped by French sentries. It was a terrible time for the Duke to come down with an attack of hay fever.
Spies! After them!
Sherman urged our horses onward while the sentries set off in pursuit on sleek, speedy chargers.
They're gaining on us, Mr. Peabody. We'll never outrun them.
Then we must slow them down. How are you at pitching hay, your lordship? Well, he wasn't very good, but all that mattered was that we left a trail of hay behind us, and the aforementioned sleek, speedy chargers, unable to resist their favorite fodder, gorged themselves.
This is no time to stop and eat. Giddy up!
But an army travels on its stomach, and so do sleek, speedy chargers. 2 hours later, we were at the front, and Wellington was astride his mount.
We made it. Now all he has to do is sound the charge.
But it seemed the poor Duke was so unnerved by the recent events, he was speechless.
If he won't speak, the army won't charge.
Then he will speak. Your lordship, I have just received word that your house in England has new wall-to-wall carpeting. How do you want it fastened to the floor? With glue or with a tack?
Attack!
That was the word we were waiting for.
Well, there he goes, Mr. Peabody. What a great soldier.
Not only that, Sherman, but after the war, he became a great playwright under the name of Arthur Wellington.
Arthur Wellington, a playwright?
Of course. You hear his name mentioned in theaters all over the world. At the conclusion of every play, the audience rises, applauds, and shouts, Arthur! Arthur!
Well, in our last episode, Boris Badenov went into business as Madman Morris, a shady used car dealer. Of course, he only had one car on the lot, and that was made of cardboard.
When I say low overhead, folks, I mean low overhead.
In minutes, Boris had flim-flammed our heroes into buying a paper convertible and selling him their Epperson Jackrabbit. Of course, when Bullwinkle went to kick a tire on their new car...
Oh, my gosh!
Gee, I don't know my own strength.
Bullwinkle, this is a catastrophe.
It's supposed to be a convertible.
Meanwhile, the two villains had just crossed the bridge at Buzzard's Gulch.
Why are we stopping, Boris?
Did you see that charming wooden bridge we just passed?
What's so charming about the wooden bridge?
It burns, that's what.
And the crafty fiend set fire to his end of the bridge just as our heroes set foot on the other side.
Rocky, the bridge is on fire!
But if we stop now, they'll get away.
The situation poses a rather precise ethical dilemma fraught with portent, don't it?
What does that mean?
I don't know. I heard it on Meet the Press.
There's only one thing to do, Bullwinkle.
Get a dictionary!
No, I gotta fly through the fire.
You sure that's the only way, Rock?
No, but if you're gonna be a hero, you gotta do stupid things every once in a while.
Okay, ready, Allie!
Oh!
And Bullwinkle flung Rocky right into the flames. Meanwhile, Boris and Natasha were in the office of a notorious receiver of stolen property.
I'm Andy Grift, your friendly neighborhood fence. You say you got a car made of gold?
You sir it. Here's a fender for you to test, Andy.
It don't look like gold.
It's painted. Underneath is 14 karat.
What's it worth, darling?
Well, offhand, I'd say at least...
Yes.
$2 even.
$2?
For a gold fender?
Gold my eye, that's 10.
10? Oh, boy.
No, you've done it again, Boris.
But I could swear.
Not on this program, darling. Face it, the car is worthless.
Not quite. We still need it.
For what?
To make getaway. Look up there.
Yike!
Yike, indeed, for high in the air, sand scorched, but every furry inch a hero, was Rocky the Flying Squirrel. Now, let's hear it out there for Rocky.
Thanks, folks.
Faster, Boris. He's gaining on us.
The car is too heavy, Natasha. We got to lighten it. Throw out everything loose.
Well, the two crooks threw out the spare tire, the headlights, the engine cover, the fenders, even the doors.
He's still gaining on us.
Open the trunk, Natasha. Maybe there's something heavy in there.
Boris' trunk is full of gold pieces.
And they're heavy. Get rid of them.
And Natasha began throwing away shovelfuls of gold coins.
It's working, darling. It's costing us $1 million, but we're gaining on him.
All that gold I can't watch.
And Boris covered his eyes. A rather serious mistake, for the car slewed around and headed right back to where it started from, the edge of Buzzard's Gulch.
Oop!
Boris, we're falling.
Raskolnikov, if those goody-goods think they...
Boris, do me one favor before we hit.
Certainly, Poopsie.
Shut up your mouth!
Meanwhile, Rocky and Bullwinkle were examining a handful of gold coins.
Well, Bullwinkle, we got the treasure of Monty Zoom.
Shucks, I knew we would all along.
Huh?
Sure, in a cartoon, we always have a happy ending, you know. We walk off arm in arm into a cartoon sunset without a scratch on us and...
Gee, an unhappy ending.
Yeah, this must be one of those adult cartoons.
Well, we'll see about that. Probably next time in the further adventures of Bullwinkle.